Hello, everyone. Getting the live stream going. Waiting for folks to come in. Redirecting to YouTube. Okay, there we are. We are live. I am going to say hello. Hello. Okay. Oh, I just realized something. Oh, well, I realized I'm going to share something on my laptop with you, but then my YouTube video will go away. But that is okay. That's just going to be a little weird. By the way, I'll show you what that looks like since there's it's only Sue here right now. When I share the window, oh, hi, Jen. Hello. I'm going to share my window a little later, and I'm going to show some other websites, but it's like an Escher drawing. Anyway, hello, everyone. Folks are coming in. Hi, Chris. Just waiting for folks to come in. Just got back from, there's Nancy. Just got back from Vogue Knitting Live last night. I'm not entirely sure what possessed me, other than my travel schedule, to say, oh, I'm going to do a YouTube Live the afternoon after teaching 6 classes, doing a, I know, Chris, I know it's been a while. My schedule has been wacky, which I'm going to tell you all about. I'm going to give you a little update on VK Live, going to tell you a little bit about Costa and what's coming. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my trip to Hawaii, what's going next, and a little affinity update. That's right, little affinity update. So folks are coming in. No Tony. Oh my goodness. Shocking. I don't think I've ever done a live without him here. Okay, well, it's 2 minutes after, so I'm going to jump in because, as you all know, this is recorded, so you can watch it later. So hello from a lot of Canada in the house today. Colorado. It is a bizarre spring-like day here in the Hudson Valley. The weekend before last weekend. Wait, what's today? Today's Monday. Not the weekend before. I was in South Carolina teaching at the South Carolina Knit-In. And I felt so bad because I realized how many people had said to me, oh, I'd love one day to go to Vogue Knitting Live, but oh, I could never take the cold of February in New York. So I checked the weather in Greenville, which is where I was. It was warmer in New York. I mean, it was bizarre. I think it was 60. It hit 60 on Friday or Saturday. Completely wacky. So anyway, last weekend I was in South Carolina Knitting Guild. Then I just finished last night Vogue Knitting Live, which was a big deal. We haven't been together. Vogue Knitting Live was the second to last gig I did before everything shut down. So that was third to last. That was January of 2020. Then I did my very last ever stitches at Stitches West, right before the in the before times. And then I did a guild. And then one by one, every single job I had already on the books and scheduled, which was 37 teaching events, one at a time, all got canceled over, because I booked pretty far in advance. So yeah, it was a pretty big deal, all being together again in New York. And I was back up on the Vogue stage doing my book talk. And the last time I was up on the Vogue stage was for the 10th anniversary of Vogue in 2020, which was my 10th knit along, which was Volition. And there I was back up on that stage wearing Costa, which is our 14th knit along, if you can believe it. So it was amazing. Was anyone there? Drop me a comment if anyone was at Vogue. It was so unbelievable to see everybody. It was so great. And you know, as always, I did a quick Instagram live, which is up on my grid. So I'm not going to repeat everything I said on the Instagram live, but I had a message from someone who's taking one of my classes at Red Alder. And she asked a very, very important and reasonable question, which is, what protections do I put in place for the students if I'm traveling so much? So I answered about my whole testing protocol and how I go about navigating being a traveling teacher in COVID and making sure that my students stay safe. So I'm not going to repeat all of that, but I hope you follow me on the Instas. If you don't, why the heck don't you? Follow me on Instagram. I share a lot of different content on different channels. So I want to make sure that it's not boring to follow me in multiple places. So Instagram gets very unique content, you know, different videos, stuff like that. Oh, you were there at Vogue? Oh, good. I hope you had a good time. I had a fantastic time. I had 6 sold out classes, 32 people in each class. Well, 38 in one, because they don't quite understand how that got overbooked. And I feel really, really, really grateful about that, because it was being our first year back, it was a slightly smaller turnout, you know, so teachers that are used to having their classes sell out, some, you know, not everybody did. So I was so grateful to everyone who took the time to show up to my class. And then I had a fabulous book talk and book signing, which, you know, I always have that Mary Tyler Moore fear that, you know, she would throw a party, she would worry no one show up. I always have a fear anytime I do anything. Thank you. It says I will never get bored following you. I always worry that no one's going to show up. So I did the book talk from 12:30 to 1. And then I was like, oh, great. You know what happens at 1 o'clock? The yarn toss, where there's free yarn that's tossed out at the crowd. So I'm like, no one's going to go to my book signing because, hi, free yarn, buy a book from Patty, free yarn. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. So I finished my book talk at 1 o'clock and I said, okay, so if anyone wants to, you know, come on down, I'll be selling my books and signing my books and selling my little gift bags over by the Vogue booth. And I ran over there expecting it to be totally empty. And there was a huge line of people. I couldn't believe it. Oh, and I totally forgot to bring from the house. Oh, sorry. It's already been a day. Somebody brought me a Brazilian knitter came and said, hi, I'm a knitter from Brazil. And we just want you to know that Brazil loves you. How nice is that? Telling me a country loves me. I don't really think a whole country loves me, but I appreciated the thought. Hello from Poland. And she brought me a little gift, which I haven't opened yet because I thought I'd open it live on YouTube, but I forgot it in the house. She said it's a little piece of jewelry. Oh, I forgot. So I'll open it. I'll take photos. I'll open it and I'll put it on my Instagram story. So check out my story. So anyway, that was Vogue Knitting Live. It was fabulous. I got to see a lot of old friends. And it was just a whirlwind. So I want to tell you about 2 things. Well, 3. First, let's talk Costa. So tell me in the chat how many of you are already in. We are going to cast on in 2 weeks. So we haven't started yet. And as you know, the video sweater classes are live forever. They're yours forever. And so if you go, I'm going to pop on over here for a second. You just go to education.pattylyons.com, and then you can click on all courses, and there it is, Costa Maya, boom. And you'll see it's on sale now, and we cast on February 26th, which means you have 2 more weeks to automatically get 15% off. So it's automatically 15% off during the whole pre-sale time. And all those videos are yours forever. So the videos that are the parts that are already live is part 1 and part 2. So you already have, your welcome video, your what size shall I make video, yarn properties, can't match stitch gauge or gauge sheet, pattern reading tips. And then here we go, February 26th, we go live. And the whole pattern is going to drop at once, but then the videos are going to come out on a schedule. So you can see you've got part 2, chapter 1, you have all your basic stitches videos. And then we have our sweater back intro, and our frequently asked questions. We're going to have all of our sweater planning tools, our sweater mapping video, alterations, because we're going to talk about what kind of alterations you can make, and all of your lace skills in case you're doing the original pattern with the lace in the back. And then all your videos on working the back. So as you can see, you're going to get a lot right on the launch. Then we'll wait till March 12th and we'll launch all our sweater front videos, our intro, our planning tools, our modifications, our videos on working the front, which is really the fun part, all the really interesting short row shaping, all that good stuff. Then we move on to the sleeves on March 26th. And we have all of our sleeve planning tools, our modifications. Then in April, we have our tools, all our finishing, our shawl collar, all of that good stuff, all of our alterations. And then, of course, our prizes. So Costa Maya is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going back to the chat so I can see who's chatting. Oh, yay, already in. I'll be swatching this week. That's awesome. Just got your book. It was the 3rd attempt. Oh my goodness. Yeah, USPS. Woohoo. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk Costa Maya. So Costa Maya is this little cardigan right here, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff going on. So the front has this very, very unique shaping we're going to learn how to do. It's not like any short row shaping you've ever done. It's my kind of unvented short row shaping. This is the original design, and it's in a cotton and a merino, and it's got the lace, and it's got a very elegant turned hem, and then it's got this little lace on the cuff. But and I love my original, but I really like the shape of the garment. So I always wanted to have kind of a vanilla version in wool. So I also made for myself, I either get the whole garment in or cut off my head. I made a tapered sleeve wool version for myself without the lace on the back, just plain vanilla, but with all the interesting shaping. So all those modifications will be in there as well. This is going to be jam-packed, like most of my classes are, full of modifications. So I had a knitter come up to me at Vogue to say she took my Secrets of Spectacular Sweater Success class, and she came up to me afterwards saying, she wanted to do it, but she's one of those knitters that I was talking about using your high chest to find the size that fits you in the shoulder, but then she has a larger chest. And I said, oh, you're going to love the sweater modification of working 2 different sizes, a different size sweater front, then the back, and how you get rid of those extra stitches as you shape the neck. There's modifications if you want to alter the sleeves. Maybe, we're not all the same shape. So you can have, and this was what's really important to understand, the discussion of size and inclusivity was an important discussion. However, it's still important for knitters to own their own knitting. And that's why we learn sweater mapping. We learn how to put all our numbers onto a schematic, because there is no way, even if a designer expands from 4 sizes to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, you could have 30 sizes, but that doesn't mean the knitter can follow the pattern as written and get a sweater that is perfect for them, because 20 different 52-inch chests will all be different shape, right? Different sleeve length, different waist length. That's that distance between from your back to your waist, right? Someone might say, oh, I want to shorten it. So for instance, this version, the wool version that I'm wearing, is shorter than this version. I shortened it. I thought, oh, it would be fun to have a slightly shorter version. So there's going to be tons of sweater modifications. So people ask me all the time about levels, which I'm not really into. Like, is this sweater level for me? If you're a new knitter and you know how to knit, purl, cast on, bind off, but most importantly, you have two things. Thing one, you have intellectual curiosity, and you want to learn how to read your knitting, not memorize, but understand. I had one student at Vogue who was honest with me, and she said she's just not a how person. I did think to myself, you booked the wrong teacher. She likes to just follow a pattern as written and just show me what to do. But none of my classes are pattern classes. They're all about learning a technique and understanding how to see it and really recognize it. And she wasn't really interested in that. She was just like, come show me exactly what to do. So I felt bad because I was the wrong teacher. That was not a good combo, because I'm not interested in just telling you what to do, because I'm not going home with you. So I'm interested in empowering you and having you see it on your own needles, right? So I know sometimes as a student that can get frustrated because you're like, what happened? What should I do? And I'll never answer. I'll say, well, what do you see on your knitting? Okay, so now where do you hold your empty needle? All right, why don't you just transfer those stitches one needle to another? Let's really take a peek. Tell me what you see. So the video sweater classes carries that same live teaching vibe. So of course, the education platform is fully interactive. Let me see if I can show you. I'm going to peek on here and see if I can show you a class in progress here. Yeah, I'll go to my dashboard. So what I mean by fully interactive is just like any class where you can ask questions. I'm going to go to one of the, that's just the intro. There's a lot of information, tons of links, all sorts of things. By the way, this is called a hamburger menu over here, those 3 little lines. People often, if they're looking at something on a smaller screen, they have trouble seeing, why is that getting cut off? Oh, there we go. They'll often have trouble seeing how to get back to a different part of the class, but you just have to remember to like open up that little hamburger menu. If on a larger window, the menu is always there. So say, I'll go over here. Okay, I'll go to, what size will I make? And say I'm in this video lesson, and there's, all sorts of text and links, etc. But if I have, whoops, oh, sorry. If I have a question in a lesson, I'm doing, I have a gauge question, and you'll see this little speech bubble in the upper right-hand corner, and you can click on that, and you see all the questions that somebody else has already asked. But then you can also ask your own question, right? So it's just a great way to be able to stay in a class, because I'm right there. You can ask me questions. I will answer them. And then in addition to that, there is our community group. So I'm just going to bop over here to the community group. So the classroom is where you ask your questions, right? So you'll be right there in the class, and that's where you ask your questions. But then we also have, go back to my dashboard here. We also have all of our community groups. So the community groups are, this window is so weird. Hold on. The community groups are the social groups. So these are all my classes. Here's are my communities, right? My communities. So every time you have one of the knit-alongs, it has its own community. But then I also have just a general community for knitting classes, and they have groups. So they have threads. So there's like introduce yourself, there's chat about the education platform itself, questions about my book, technique questions, life hobbies, if someone has a question about my patterns or they want to show off. And then a lot of the live classes that I've taught, or just the classes that aren't a knit-along. But the knit-along all have their own, oops, I went back to the class, sorry. The knit-along has their own community. So here's the community for Costa Maya. And we have our introduction, we have our gauge and yarn choices. And so this is where people are sharing pictures of their swatching, pictures of their yarn that's arrived. People are meeting each other. So here's the introduce yourself. This is where people come and meet each other and you know, chit chat. I love when someone comes and says, I'm from so-and-so, and someone else is like, oh, where? Oh, I'm close to there. So the community group is really fun, and it's just a great way to hang out with other knitters. Okay, so I'm just popping over here, catch up with the chat here, because when I show you a website, it didn't occur to me like, oh yeah, I can't have then the YouTube window open. I'm nervous about this. I really want to do it, but will you be holding our hands? I need all the help possible. Oh, well, Janice, I think I've answered that question now. So if anyone in the chat there has done one of my video sweater classes, they can put in the chat how quickly I answer questions. So I'm right there. I log in every morning and every evening to the education platform. That's why there's a big message on the community group that says where to post questions. Because I want all class questions to be on the class platform, because then if a student is in the gauge lesson and they have a question about gauge, they'll see all the questions ever asked about gauge. If someone's on the working the front and they click. So the community group that's social. That's not where to ask, you raise your hand in class. So one is like being in a classroom, raising your hand, and one is the lounge where everyone's hanging out. All the knitters are hanging out. But the other reason is I'll check in with the community group from time to time, you know, when I have time, but the class questions I check in twice a day. So there's that. So if anyone has taken a class, Janice, hopefully someone will put in the chat how quickly I answer questions. So there. Yes, Sue, you could have a room full of people size 38, everyone's different shapes. Exactly. You know who made that point beautifully in a blog was Natalie Warner. She writes a blog called Natalie and Stitches. And she wrote a really good blog about that, about how size and shape are not the same thing. And I thought that was really important. Signing up this evening, I told myself that I had to finish another project. That's okay. You can finish. Oh, Crafty Aaron says super fast. Gwen says fast. You think Patty was standing by waiting for you to answer. Well, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I am in the sense that I'm on my computer working, and I've set my class notifications to go off. So it's not always a good thing that I do that, because sometimes I should be doing something else, like I should be working on something else, but then I'll see the bing that there's a class question and I'm like, oh, I'll go answer that instead of doing this thing that I don't want to do. So it's not always good that I do that. I mean, it's good for you guys. It's not always good for other deadlines. But there you go. So if anyone has any questions about Costa Maya, pop it on in there. The yarn links are in there, or right in the class. Basically, everything's on your class platform. So one thing that's important is if you're brand new to the class platform, there's a reason that I make the first class, the first lesson, a required lesson, meaning it's a prerequisite. The first two lessons are a prerequisite, meaning you have to click continue, like complete and continue, to move on to the next lesson. All the other lessons, you could go over here to the menu and you could just skip around. But the reason I made those two a requirement is I was finding I was getting the same questions, like how do I replay a video, or where do I find a download, or I didn't see the text under the video. So I made this whole like how to navigate the education platform video. And there's troubleshooting here if you're having computer issues. And I even wrote like, stop, please, before clicking continue. Did you watch the video? Please watch the video. So that's my way of like begging people. And then also there's a lot of helpful sweater resources here. And these are some things that answer some of the most commonly asked questions. And the other thing that I do is for each part of the knit along, I have an FAQ. So I'll have an FAQ for, yarn and size, an FAQ for sweater back, an FAQ for front. And what that FAQ is when a student asks a question and I think, oh, that's a good question, I bet you $1 million someone else will ask that. So when that happens, I add that to the FAQ because I think, oh, that's a really good one. And someone else might ask that one. So that's Costa Maya. I wanted to tell you all about that. And the other two questions that I get asked all the time, for those of you who are on my newsletter group, will be getting a newsletter in a couple of days that will answer both of these. One is, when am I going to be teaching Build a Better Fabric again live on my platform? So that's going to be Friday, March 3rd from 2 to 4. And as always, when you book a live class with me, your class session is recorded and it lives on your class dashboard forever. What I do is I keep that class private and I let the newsletter group book it first because it usually sells out just from the newsletter group. So that class in particular, I've never opened up registration to the public. So there. So Sue is saying, oh, Patty gives us all the tools we need, even if there's something she does that may not be found in class. Well, I try. And what helps me is the questions students ask, because sometimes someone will ask a question and I'll go, ooh, that's a good question. I'm going to add that, right? So, so I try to think of every single scenario. And the longer I do these knit-alongs, the more I think I probably can think of every single scenario. But, you never know. So Build a Better Fabric, that's going to be in your newsletter. And the other thing that's going to be in your newsletter is a save the date for Affinity. So I'm hoping I will get my signed contract back from the venue. That's why I'm waiting to send the newsletter so that I can announce the venue. I'll tell you the dates now. You're the first to know. It's September 11th through 14th. So it is midweek this time, not a weekend. Here's the reality. Prices have gone up a lot. So A, prices have gone up a lot in all resorts. But B, I'm now realizing for those of you who have been with Affinity with me in the past, you know, we did it at a family-owned resort, a privately owned, family-owned resort. And the Lighthouse Bob, the owner, passed away. And they had a lot of medical bills and they had to sell the resort quickly. And they sold it to like a hotel chain that owns a bunch of Comfort Inns, and the quality just like went in the toilet. And the customer service was, so it was really important to me that I found a venue that wanted us there, that was going to be excited to host us, that seemed like they would do excellent customer service. But I will be honest with all of you. I also realized how very much grandfathered in the prices that I was getting at Sabasco because Bob loved us. So as many of you know, food prices are through the roof. Gas prices have gone up. Everything has gone up a lot. I will not compromise with the fee that I pay my teachers. So that's not going to be where I save my money. So yes, the prices have gone up a lot. The price of the retreat has gone up. Not enough to actually cover my margins, but you know, this is going to be a transition year where my goal is to break even and keep the retreat alive while I continue to search for the very best place for us. But one way to reduce expenses was to do this midweek. So instead of on the weekend. I will announce the location, hopefully, at the newsletter. So first, you're going to find out about the location, and I'm going to hopefully get you all excited about the beautiful location and all that there is to do there. And then I'll announce the teachers, and then I'll announce the vendors, and you know, we're going to get the anticipation going. I'll announce the date that registration opens, and as with all the other years, registration is going to open for the newsletter group first with a code. So that will be a locked code. And just like Build a Better Fabric, I've yet to open up Affinity to the general public because it always sells out from the newsletter group. The newsletter is free, so it's not like I'm being, you know, exclusionary. Anyone can join the newsletter. I don't make it a secret. I say well in advance, join the newsletter, you'll get a code. Anybody can join the newsletter. Will you ever offer Improve Your Knitting live online? No, that's completely impossible. Improve Your Knitting Alternative Methods and Styles is a 4.5-hour filmed class. So that would take about, generally it's content times 4 is the rule of thumb for filmed versus live. So that would take 16 hours to teach live. So Improve Your Knitting Alternative Methods and Styles covers knitting technique, picking, throwing, Eastern, Western, combination, Portuguese, and knitting and purling backwards, and how and why you combine them. The filmed class that you can get on my website, pattylyons.com, it's a 4.5-hour filmed class. So never could that be taught live unless it was a series of many classes. Like that would take about 16 hours. How do we find the news? Subscribe to the newsletter. Oh, just you always go to the person's website. That's just always. If you're ever looking for how to subscribe to someone's newsletter, you just always go to their website. Easy peasy. pattylyons.com. Right. If you're interested in like Modern Daily Knitting newsletter, just go to their website. You know, anybody's newsletter, The Gap, anybody's newsletter, you always find that on their website. Okay, so that's the news from Affinity. And then I just also wanted to tell you a little bit, a very little bit about my trip to Hawaii and some of the things that we learned and some decisions we made about the trip. It has been a lifelong dream of mine to visit Hawaii. I've never gone, wanted to go for my whole life. I was not unaware of the impact that tourism and tourists have on Hawaii. And I was pretty torn about that. I mean, I know that there's much more to it than just, well, I'll just go and I'll be a good visitor, right? I'll go and I won't be a terrible person. There's environmental impacts from tourism. And the biggest thing in Hawaii, and if anyone's really interested in learning more about this, I highly recommend a show that I absolutely love. Is a show on CNN called The United Shades of America, but it's Kamal Bell. And he does every week, explores a different part of America and in unique ways. And the episode is called Hawaii for Hawaiians. And it's hard because, like, if you've always wanted to visit Hawaii and yet that the colonialism, the taking up of space by mainlanders, particularly during COVID, of like, oh, I'll move to Hawaii, has made the cost of living of Hawaii impossible for Native Hawaiians to live a decent life while we treat the state like our playground. So what's a person to do who's always dreamed of going to Hawaii? Would one person not going make a difference? No. So what I thought was, could my going make some difference? Is there something that I could do to give back? So we kind of built it into our travel budget, that we would do some investigation for charities that would, where our going, think of it like a hostess gift, right? And by the way, this idea came from a resort that I stayed at. My sister's birthday trip, she had wanted to go to Belize. So my dad took me and my brother and my sister to Belize. And the hotel had on their website a suggestion for every guest to please either click here and donate to the local schools. There's a fund for supplies for the schools that hotel is in, the district that hotel is in, or the hotel takes care of collecting supplies that the school has requested, and you can either donate, or they say, like, here's some stuff that we could really use, and so my brother and sister and I all came with suitcases full of, construction paper and pens and rulers and scissors, and they ask, please new, not used, please bring us new supplies. And it's amazing, the hotel takes care of distributing it to the school. So I wish that the Hawaii Tourism Board did something like that, had just a landing page that said, hey, if you're going to visit Hawaii, here's some places. So I just thought I'd share with you some of I want to share with you some pictures, but I also want to share with you some of the places, just in case anyone's interested, and in case anyone thinks like, oh yeah, I might go to Hawaii one day. And sorry, I want to move this over so you can see. Why can't I move this over? Oh, sorry, this is misbehaving. There we go. Okay. So this was one of them. This was one of the charities that we did research on, and there was a great website that sort of gave us information about a lot of different places that we could. Oh, I've made a mess. I've made a mess of this window. I'm trying to be able to show you actually the whole window. Okay. So this is one. It says we're a non-for-profit community-based organization serving Maui. That's where we went. We went to Maui, and their mission is to empower children and their families to reach their full potential. So we really wanted some charities that focus on children, and also charities that focused on women. So this is Women Helping Women. It's another website you can go to. It's just Women Helping Women Maui.com. And I'm going to put all these links in the YouTube live. Women's Fund of Hawaii.org. That's another great one. And these have all been checked through Charity Navigator. You know, they're all very, very highly rated, meaning a large portion of your money goes directly to the charities. We really, really wanted to give back environmentally and make sure that Hawaii was protected and so a sustainable charity was important to us. So this is another great one. Again, I'll put all these links in underneath. Those of you who know about Knit for Food, I'm going to talk about that in a second. You know that food insecurity is a big deal. So Hawaii Food Bank, this is actually part of Feeding America. And this is one of the charities that we're going to do in Knit for Food, which I'll talk about in a second. And last but not least, the Hawaii Environmental Alliance. So I just want to share that with you. And I'm going to show you a few pictures, but I also want to bring up the Knit for Food page for a second. Because that's the other really wonderful thing that I wanted to make sure everybody knew about. And this is the brainchild of the brilliant and beautiful and wonderful Laura Nelkin. And over the years, this charity has raised $500,000 for food insecurity, if you can believe it, in 2 years. Absolutely amazeballs. So if you want to be on Team Patty, you can sponsor me, you can sponsor anyone. Doesn't matter who you sponsor, as long as you sponsor. The idea is we are knitting for 12 hours. And it is coming up in about, I just forgot the date. It is March 26th. March 26th, it's coming up. So it'd be amazeballs if we broke last year's record, but who knows if we will. But if you want to sponsor me, that would be great. And it's just an amazing organization. So I was supposed to put together a little photo album for you guys, and then I ended up doing this Instagram live instead, so I didn't. So I'm just going to show you a couple of photos from Hawaii, which is, as most people say, it is just incredibly beautiful. This was the very first day we arrived. We had lunch at this really cool place. I'm actually going to go back and forth between my front view and my album so I can choose another photo to show you, so I don't show you all the junky ones. And then while we were still jet lagged, we went to see the sunrise at Haleakala, which is it is 10,000, excuse me, it's 10,000 feet in the air. And as you can see, you are above the clouds. That is the sun coming up above the clouds. So you wake up at about 3 in the morning, which is why you go there when you're still jet lagged. And you can watch the sunrise from the top of a volcano, and you are actually above the clouds. It's absolutely amazing. It is cold. So for goodness sakes, don't forget. We saw a couple of people in like shorts, and no, you're in Hawaii, but if you want to do this, you're going to pack your parka. So, that's just something you want to do. We love birds, so there's lots of bird pictures in my album. Is that a chukar? I think that's a chukar. We did a lot of amazing hikes. We did a lot of bird watching. So there's another really super cool guy. He's kind of upside down, but I'll show you. This is the poster. This is it's this one. It's the second one. Iwiwi is what that guy is, which is pretty cool. Yes, of course, I cast on for a hat while I was there. This is this beach by a lava flow. So this is one of the largest examples of lava flows where, it's basically like one giant pumice stone, which is incredibly cool. So that's not like a sandy beach, but yes, we did have we did of course have our sandy beach time as well, which involved a lot of knitting. And this is my first vacation in 3 years, like most people. So it was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredible to have kind of a lifelong dream fulfilled. Like I said, I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. But also to have it, be your first vacation in 3 years is pretty cool. We went on a whale watch, and they were pretty darn close. We went on one of the kind of eco tours. So we knew when it comes to whale watches, it's really important to check out the company to make sure that they're not horrible people, and that they do it right. There's pretty strict laws in Hawaii as far as how close you can get to whales, how close you can get to anything. But if this edge shows you someone's hat, we didn't purposefully get that close. But it's kind of amazing that if the whale chooses to get that close, they can. So that was pretty cool. So we did a whale watch. We did lots of bird watching. So I won't bore you with more bird pictures. Although that one is so pretty. I'll just show you that one. I just thought that one was pretty. And it was just an amazing, amazing, amazing place. There was some amount of ripping out a hat that happened because I just cast on for my husband from some leftover beautiful Nora wool. He wanted a hat. And then of course, it ended up, he wanted it floopier. And so we made it floopier. And now I'm playing yarn chicken to see if I can get one more hat out of it. We stayed on the road to Hana, we stayed at a farm. And this guy, this reminded me of Tabitha from Long Island Yarn and Farm, because this pig immediately came to greet us. That was our first greeting. But this is hard to see, but there's chickens in the trees. Can you see that? I thought that was amazing. So this is this little platform this woman built, and the chickens, they climb up the ladder and they go in the tree. Have you ever in your life seen a chicken in a tree? Because I have not. I have not seen a chicken in a tree. And there were horses that greeted us first thing in the morning, and there were goat and sheep, and we went to the red sand beach, which was incredible. And we went super early in the morning, and there, lying on the beach, right there in the middle of the beach, was a monk seal. Don't worry, that is a very zoomy lens on that guy, because you are supposed to stay pretty far away. And so we did. We just gave him his monk seal face. And the other fun thing, I'm just going to show you one more because this is really boring. No one likes to look at vacation photos, but this is the other really cool thing, is just being able to see these guys on the beach. Again, you stay pretty far away from them. That's a zoom. So that's all. I just want to tell you a little bit about Hawaii, and it was really incredible. And I'm, like I said, I feel like ambivalent about posting a bunch of pictures. I mean, one of the things that people were saying in the show Hawaii for Hawaiians was about the sort of Instagrammability of Hawaii, and people talking about, oh, I found this lost beach. I found this secret place. Well, it's not lost. That's like It's like, you know, Columbus discovering America, right? The thing about explorers is they discover something that was already there, and then they claim it as theirs. So, yeah, I'm not saying that I don't still have a little bit of ambivalent feelings about going there, but I think we can do the best that we can do. And I think it might have inspired kind of a new idea of vacation is why should that only be Hawaii? Like, what if we just save a little bit of our vacation budget each time we go to a place to investigate some charities in that place? I had a bunch of the charities follow up with me when they saw my area code. A woman from Women Helping Women said, oh, you know, I'm so curious, you know, how did you find out about our charity and why did you give? And so I told her that, you know, we went there on vacation and we felt like if we were going to someone's house, we would bring a hostess gift, right? We would bring a bottle of wine or send a thank you card. And so this is our way of bringing a bottle of wine and sending a thank you card. So yeah, anyway, I think it's a cool thing to do. And it's, you know, it's really easy to just carve it into the vacation budget. It was funny, my husband, you know, I said I wanted to have things for women, for charity, for environmental. And so we made that whole list and, you know, of the larger donations for each. But then he said, oh, and also Hawaii Public Radio. Can we send $50 to Hawaii Public Radio? Because we listen to the radio every morning. So I thought that was really cool of him. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I thought that was pretty classy. So anyway, that's all the news that's fit to print. Keep your eyes open for the newsletter. If you don't subscribe to my newsletter, it's certainly easy enough to find. It's my website, pattylyons.com, right? So hopefully I will sign that contract for 2023's Affinity venue. And I'll start to post teasers on the Affinity Instagram account, on my Instagram account. First, I'll do a save the date and when registration opens, tell you a little bit about the venue. Then I'll tease you with who's teaching, who's coming, and then who's vending. I am going to do what I did last year, which is a 2-day marketplace. That worked out really, really well. So yeah, I think that was really fun. And also the suggestion from last year was to invite a local yarn store so that we have our 3 yarn vendors, we have our non-yarn vendors, but then we have a local yarn store come so that someone is there with needles and notions and gift items. And, you know, so I'm hoping that the bag vendor I want is going to come. There's a needle case vendor that I want to come. There's a shawl pin, sweater closure person I want to come. And then our 3 yarn vendors. So we should have our 6 wonderful vendors in place. And don't forget, you have 2 more weeks to automatically save 15% on on Costa Maya. And it's yours forever. The video class is yours forever. So you know what? No, there's really no risk involved. The only risk involved is not saving the 15% by not getting in the next 2 weeks. But say you start it and you're like, oh, I think I want to, you know, take my time, or I want to practice. And by the way, everyone who does my video sweater classes also knows we work on a teeny tiny sweater mini. So there's going to be this little sweater mini that you get to do, a little sweater mini front where you get to practice the turned hem. I'll suggest that you work on a little practice swatch where you practice the lace if you're doing the lace. And then we'll do a little sweater front where you learn all the short row shaping. You practice picking up stitches for the shawl collar. So you're doing all your sweater skills on a teeny tiny sample. And then you feel comfortable and you're like, okay, I'll pick up my sweater. Okay, so that's it. I gotta go. I'm home for 48 hours. I got a lot of work to do to get ready for Red Alder, where I leave on Wednesday. I got a cast on for the Helix class. I have to, I taught the Helix class in at Vogue, and apparently two of the colors, they look really different in real life. It's a dark green and a lime green, but through the monitor, which projects up on the wall, they were too close. So people were having trouble. So I have to redo my swatches and recast on to make sure that people can see it. Thank you, Chris. I'm sorry it was so long, but I'm going to make up for it by having 2 lives really close together. So you can also save the date for Thursday, March 2nd. I'll be doing another YouTube live with Peggy Orenstein, author of the New York Times bestselling book. You might have seen it. It's all over Instagram, right? Unraveling tales about what I learned from shearing sheep and knitting the world's ugliest sweater. So she's going to be here with me. So that's it. That's the show. If you want to hear all about Vogue Knitting Live and the answer to that all important question about how do I keep the students safe when I'm traveling, do pop over to my Instagram account. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, for goodness sakes, why don't you? Just kidding. Not. And there's a live up there as well. It's about a half hour. Okay, that's it. Thanks, you guys. Where can I sign up for my class? On my website, pattylyons.com. Or you can just go straight to here. I'll put a link here. I'll put a link right underneath. It's education.pattylyons.com. I'll put that right back up again. Here we go. I'll put that website back up. All you have to do is put the word education in front of my name, and you'll go right there. So there you go. Education.pattylyons.com. That's the landing page. But if you're on pattylyons.com and you forgot to put the word education, then of course you'll also see, oh, look, Costa Maya. Boom, you can, click through right there. Or you'll see, oh, wait, learn. Oh, Patty's education site, right? So it's not exactly hard to find me. Education.pattylyons.com. Okay, that's it. I gotta go. Thank you so much for showing up. And I will see you later.